Okay, so here we go. Posted a bunch of images up on Instagram. There's also see a lot of images over on Fuji Rumors. He's there right now. I talked to Patrick at Photokina. So Fujifilm completely destroyed everybody at Photokina. Nikon, nothing. Canon, nothing. Sony, nothing. There's a couple new Panasonic full-frame cameras that nobody's going to buy because there's no glass for it, and about 1,000 other reasons. So 2 more medium format cameras officially announced from Fujifilm. The rangefinder GFX50R, which is going to come out in November, $4,500. Interestingly enough, there's actually some improvements on the GFX-R over that of GFX-S current camera, which I happen to have. 425 autofocus points and a soft touch shutter relative to the GFX50S. By the way, here's an image someone grabbed at Photokina. It's half the thickness of the 63mm. So the 63mm, I have every GFX lens made, is about that big. So this pancake lens is supposed to be about half as thick. So it's about that's smaller than almost every 35mm lens. Given the price point on the 63mm, which is the GFX lens I hate the most, this lens should be about $900. It's a 50mm f3.5, which is an equivalent field of view of 40mm. On the GFX rangefinder camera, that's absolutely incredible. It really is. Here it is. Like I said, you go over to Fuji Rumors, see all the images for it. It looks like basically a large XE3 camera. $4,500. 425 autofocus points improvement. Everything else, same sensor and engine as in the GFX. I don't think most people realize, like I said, how expensive every other medium format. Did I mention that Leica came out with a new, what was it, a 64 megapixel camera? I think it's a 64 megapixel. It's $20,000. I can't remember if it's $18,000 or if it's $20,000. Yeah, that's really interesting. 64 megapixel medium format. By the way, very importantly, it comes out spring of 2019, or should be spring. Here it is here. The 100 megapixel GFX100s has IBIS, which is not a good idea. Sorry about that, Fujifilm. Medium format does not and should not have IBIS. But it does have phase detect on sensor autofocus, which is amazing. $10,000. That's for you, those of you who don't, and that includes like 99% of you. Do you know how much a phase 1 costs? It costs more than your house. $10,000 for 100 megapixel on sensor phase detect is incredibly cheap. So all the cat photographers out there, all the hobbyist cat photographers out there are going to say, oh my God, no one's going to buy this camera, it's $10,000. And all the professional, hardcore working studio portrait product photographers are going to go, oh my God, that's so cheap, I'm going to buy 2 of them. So if you want to talk about, you know, expensive for medium format, that is insanely cheap. Did I mention that? Did I mention this key point right here? Yeah, the Leica camera for $20,000, which is 64 megapixels, is a turd compared to $10,000 for the 100 megapixel Fujifilm, which is on sensor phase, and IBIS. IBIS is not needed for medium format. I know there's a couple of the reasons why Fujifilm's putting that in there. I actually predicted this camera would be $8,000 plus, and I was accurate, but what I was inaccurate on is that they were gonna, I had no idea they're gonna stick IBIS in this, because medium format does not need IBIS, no way, no how. And medium format is never used for video. So that actually bumps the price up another $1,000. So it's exactly what I predicted. So it's $9,000 plus another $1,000 essentially for the IBIS mech. Oh my God, I've already, don't ask me how I did it since I'm ahead of time, but I've already pre-ordered the GFX rangefinder camera. Already have ordered it. It's a tiny little on-off switch right here on the top corner. Just a tiny little switch about the size of a fly. Brilliant design. I've watched every video already on the GFX50R. I'm just going to call it the GFX-R, which is what it should be called, actually. Hey, Nikon, Canon, Sony. What, you guys didn't come out with anything. Fujifilm showed what they just recently released of Photokina, their X-T3, which I just got done doing the full review on. And they announced 2 more medium format cameras. Meanwhile, Nikon, Canon, and Sony are over there in that corner scratching their balls and picking their nose. So, medium format cameras for Fujifilm, 3, GFX50S, GFX50R, and the GFX100s. I'm going to start saying that Nikon, Canon, and Sony are all the small sensor camera companies. So Fujifilm has 250 megapixel cameras and a 100 megapixel camera coming out in spring of 2019, basically a half a year away from now. Yeah, Sony, Nikon, and Canon, those are the small sensor camera companies. Empirically and denotatively, that is a factually accurate statement. So, Nikon, Canon, Sony, where are your medium format cameras? This is what I meant when I said a year ago. I said, why did you buy that? I was going to buy a super expensive Mamiya Leaf long before I figured out Fujifilm was going to come out with a medium format camera. Thank God I waited. Also, too, there's a lot of really stupid people that have said a lot of stupid stuff. There's Fujifilm, in error, gave this camera for review by the guys that used to do the camera store review that are now working for that online website, you know, that I particularly don't like, and they trashed the camera. They had a couple hours of the camera. The one guy that used to work for the camera store, he said some of the most ignorant and unintelligent stuff I've ever heard. You know, if someone was paying me a lot of money to review cameras, I couldn't make mistakes like that. You know, I would be more strict and I would make sure my facts are correct. Here's the extremely incorrect, dumb things that he said were empirically stupid. One, he kept harping on old sensor. Well, yeah, the sensor has been around on the GFX50S and 50R for quite a few years, 2014 actually. He kept going on old sensor, old sensor, old sensor. It's still light years ahead of any other full-frame camera output. I have the Nikon D850. Everybody that looks at a raw file from a GFX medium format file for the first time says, "Whoa, my God, this is just freaking incredible." And it is. So that old sensor in the Pentax Z and the Hasselblad X1D and the GFX 50S and the upcoming GFX 50R, that camera still blows the balls and blows the hell and gone out of every full-frame camera out there, period. Dynamic range, tonality, croppability. Doesn't matter if it's 4 years old. It still blows the hell out of everything out there. So congratulations, Chris, on making that crazy statement. Here's the other thing he said wrong. He kept saying, oh, it's only got 1/125th of a second sync speed, and he implied that that was as fast as the flash photography, if you could go with that. But I have the GFX, and that statement's incorrect. The GFX-R, along with the GFX50S, can do 1/4000th of a second hypersync flash photography, and also 1/4000th of a second high-speed sync with a speed light. Hypersync, which you can't see it as my White Lightning 3200 over there, is extremely powerful. 1,600 watt-seconds of power. You know how much more powerful hypersync is than high-speed sync? The GFX and the GFX50R can do hypersync flash photography at maximum shutter speed, both on GFX 50. I've done a video on that as demonstration, so that statement is incorrect. And then he says, limited lens selection. Well, dear sir, who knows nothing about medium format camera, medium format all throughout history has never needed more than a handful of lenses because medium format is not for hardcore sports action or wildlife. Medium format is not for sports action wildlife photography. Medium format does not need a huge bazillion lenses to choose from. It has always been that way, so your statement is hyperbolic nonsense. And then they trash the camera. Well, that's bad for video. No one should be buying. Medium format is never for video. The only reason there's a video capability at all in these damn cameras from Fujifilm, the GFX50S and GFX50R, is just a frou-frou add-on. Like someone only had one camera with them, like, I like to make a little video here, stick it on my tripod. Medium format is not for video. It has never been for video. It's not intended for video. It is kind of like the cup holder in your Lamborghini. You know? It has no effect on the reason why you bought a Lamborghini. It's like, oh my God, the cup holder in my Lamborghini sucks. It doesn't hold the cup. It's medium format is not for video. Nobody with the money and the brains is buying me. I'm going to buy this expensive camera to do video. No! There might be one person on earth stupid enough to do that, like some uber-rich millionaire that just wants to buy an expensive camera, and he realizes medium format sucks for video. Everybody else knows. So these statements are ludicrous, and I have no idea why Fujifilm gave these people the camera to review when they trashed it for incorrect reasons, invalid reasons, nonsense reasons. Old sensor? Excuse me, sir, the old sensor inside that GFX and GFX-R that's about to drop are far superior output to anything else that's currently out there, 35mm below, including my Nikon D850, the tonality, the dynamic range, the croppability. So shut up. You know, get your facts straight. I don't care who somebody likes or don't likes. You know, maybe I don't have the best personality in the world myself, but at least I know what the hell I'm talking about. Was that too over the top? Was that too over the top? No, I think it was just right because I was dead on accurate. So, yes, I've already pre-ordered the GFX50R rangefinder camera. I cannot frigging wait. And a note to Fujifilm, by the way. I have had a crap load of people telling me, screw it, this is the camera I'm getting. I know is it expensive? Here's the statement. Compared to what? Have you priced out the rest of the medium format cameras out there? Have you priced out like the Leica camera that Leica just came out with, 64 megapixels, at $20,000? So tell me how expensive that $4,500 rangefinder medium format GFX-R costs. Have you priced other medium format cameras? That is insanely cheap. Insanely. So Fujifilm now has 3 medium format cameras. Nikon, Canon, and Sony have nothing. Boopka, nada, nonsense. Zip, zilch, zero. Nothing. They got nothing. I didn't know that'd be the case. I mean, I knew that Fujifilm was going to drop these cameras at Photokina, but I mean, they completely fried the asses off of Canon, Nikon, and Sony, who brought nothing. So once again, Fujifilm, the really small company compared to Nikon, Canon, and Sony, Fujifilm, the really small company, kicked the ass of the 3 giants, Nikon, Canon, Sony. Fujifilm dominated Photokina. Don't deny it. Even if you hate Fujifilm, tell the truth. Okay? Just tell the truth. It kicked everybody else's ass. I know it. You know it. I can't wait to buy this pancake lens. Most people don't realize that 2 of the current medium format lenses for the GFX. Now we have to say stuff like GFX series because now we got 3 GFX cameras. So these are not the GFX50S lenses anymore. They're the GFX series lenses. All the same lenses for the GFX50S, which came out 2 years ago. Same lenses go in the GFX rangefinder and also to the 100S. There are 3 lenses announced for the GF series of cameras. This is the GFX100s, by the way. The new lenses are, as stated already, the pancake lens. There's a 50 to 140 and a, what's the other one? You know what the other one is. It's on Fuji Rumors. There's really some strangely weird telephoto zoom lens. I forget the exact range, but anyway, there's 3 lenses announced. Also yeah, they showed, it's on Fuji Rumors. You can check them out. It's the 33mm f1. I mean, they compared it next to a few other lenses. It's huge. So that's going to be basically around about a 50mm f1 lens. So that's coming out. I don't know when it's coming out. Maybe November, maybe not. I doubt it's going to come out that soon, but it certainly could. So either way, man, I've already pre-ordered this camera. It's mine. I've actually been anticipating this camera now since November. Was it? Has it been that long? It's been over half a year that I've been anticipating this camera. I only have one more thing to sell, and I might swipe part of it on a credit card, but I'm buying that camera. That camera needs a hand strap, though. That camera. Fujifilm, you should think about including a hand strap with this camera, this rangefinder beast. Oh, my God. Fujifilm, you nailed it. Not only you nailed it, you crucified everybody else at Photokina. And Fujifilm.